What would you do if the woman you swore to cherish, the one who promised forever, was secretly carving out a life with another man right under your nose? I never thought I would be the one asking that question, not after a decade of building a life in Dallas, Texas. It was Sarah. The night everything broke was a Tuesday, 2 a.m. The glow of her phone screen illuminating her face in the dark bedroom. A text message, a name I didn't recognize, and a heart emoji that felt like a physical blow. My world, my carefully constructed reality, shattered into a million icy fragments, leaving me in a silence so profound it screamed. I watched her sleep, the betrayal, a cold, hard knot in my stomach, and in that moment, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. She had no idea what was coming. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The first few weeks were a blur of disbelief and a gnawing suspicion. Sarah, usually so meticulous, started leaving her phone face down, always within reach. Her late nights at work became more frequent, her excuses more elaborate, like the time she claimed a last-minute audit at her firm on Elm Street. But her car wasn't in the parking garage when I drove past. Started noticing the subtle shifts, a new perfume, a sudden interest in lingerie she never wore for me, a distant look in her eyes when I tried to talk about our future. She became cold, manipulative, deflecting every question with a practiced ease that chilled me to the bone. It was as if a stranger had moved into my home, wearing my wife's face. I was humiliated, a cuckold in my own home, and the thought of confronting her, of hearing her lies, made my stomach churn. I started to break down, the weight of her deception crushing me. I'd sit in my office, staring at the skyline of downtown Dallas, feeling utterly alone. But beneath the despair, a cold resolve began to harden. I wasn't going to be the pathetic, heartbroken husband. I was going to be the architect of her downfall. My investigation began subtly. I installed a discreet tracking app on her phone, a small price for peace of mind, or rather, for irrefutable proof. I found receipts for dinners at upscale restaurants in Uptown, places we'd never been to, always for two. Then came the texts, a torrent of sickening endearments from a contact saved as Client X. His real name was Mark Jensen, a senior partner at a rival law firm. A man I'd met briefly at a charity gala in Highland Park. He was exactly as I remembered him, smug with an air of untouchable arrogance. I watched them, from a distance, in a quiet corner booth at a restaurant on McKinney Avenue. Their hands clasped across the table, his thumb stroking her knuckles. The sight was a dagger to my heart, but I forced myself to breathe, to observe, to gather. I hired a private investigator, a retired detective named Frank from Fort Worth, who specialized in infidelity cases. Frank was a ghost, providing me with time-stamped photos, hotel check-in records from the Omni Dallas Hotel, and even audio recordings of their hushed conversations. In a parked car near Clyde Warren Park, the evidence piled up, a mountain of betrayal, each piece a nail in the coffin of our marriage. Sarah, meanwhile, grew bolder, more brazen. She'd leave for girls' nights that stretched into the early hours, her phone buzzing with messages she'd quickly dismiss. She treated me with a condescending pity, as if I were too naive to see what was happening, too weak to do anything about it. Mark, the affair partner, seemed to revel in his conquest. His social media posts hinting at a new exciting chapter in his life, a life he was building with my wife. They felt untouchable, basking in their illicit glow, completely unaware of the storm I was brewing. I spent months meticulously planning, not just a divorce, but a complete dismantling of Sarah's life. I consulted with a top divorce attorney in Houston, a woman known for her ruthless efficiency. We discussed every angle: financial ruin, social ostracization, professional disgrace. My goal wasn't just to leave her. It was to ensure she lost everything she valued, everything she'd built on a foundation of lies. The first trap was financial. Sarah had always handled our joint accounts, but I had quietly opened a separate, untraceable account, siphoning off funds over several months, enough to secure my future and leave her with a fraction of what she expected. I also discovered her hidden offshore accounts, a nest egg she'd been building for years, likely with Mark's help. That information, carefully documented, would be a devastating blow. The second trap was social. I compiled a dossier of all the evidence: photos, texts, hotel bills, Even a video Frank managed to capture of them kissing passionately in a secluded corner of a parking garage near the Dallas Arts District. I created an anonymous email account and sent it to a select group of people. Sarah's closest friends, her colleagues, her family, and crucially, the wives of Mark's senior partners at his law firm. The subject line was simple: the truth about Sarah and Mark. The public exposure was swift and brutal. The emails spread like wildfire. Sarah's phone began to ring incessantly, her face paling with each call. Her friends, once her fiercest allies, turned their backs. Her colleagues at the law firm, a place she'd always prided herself on, started to whisper. Their glances filled with judgment. Her family, conservative and traditional, disowned her. Then came the legal battle. In the courtroom in downtown Dallas, the evidence I presented was overwhelming. The judge, a stern woman with no tolerance for deceit, listened impassively as my attorney laid out Sarah's betrayal, piece by damning piece. The offshore accounts, the lavish spending, the blatant disregard for our marriage vows, it all painted a picture of a woman who had systematically defrauded and deceived. Sarah, once so arrogant, sat there, her face a mask of shock and disbelief, her carefully constructed world crumbling around her. Mark, her smug affair partner, was also implicated, facing professional repercussions and a furious wife of his own. The divorce settlement left Sarah with nothing but the clothes on her back and a mountain of legal fees. Her career was in tatters, her reputation destroyed. She tried to fight, to plead, but there was no mercy left in me. I had watched her freeze when I revealed that Mark's wife, a woman I had discreetly befriended through a mutual acquaintance, was now my new boss at the investment firm I had just joined in New York City. The irony was a bitter, sweet symphony. I saw her once more, months later, on a cold, rainy evening, in a small coffee shop in a forgotten corner of Dallas. She didn't see me, and I didn't approach. There was nothing left to say. The revenge was complete, and the silence that followed was deafening. The end.